So I used to be really bad at sight reading. And I was like a piano major in college studying piano, and I was still terrified that someone was gonna put like music in front of me that I'd never seen before and ask me to play it. I could learn pieces fine, I could memorize pieces just great. I was always great at playing by ear. Sight reading was not my thing. It all came to a head one day when my then girlfriend, now wife, Brooke, and I sat down to play some music together. And I discovered to my horror that she was a far, far better sight reader than I was. And she's a violinist. Like, she's in the violin program, she's in the music education program. She plays piano, but violin was her main instrument, and she was far better at sight reading than I was. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to figure out, what is she doing that's different than me? I know we're both talented. I'm good at memorizing, but for some reason I've never gotten the sight reading thing. So what is she doing that is allowing her to sight read just so effortlessly and so fluidly? Well, I'm here just like kind of stuck in the spots that got hard. So what I want to do is show you the thing that's probably helped me the most to improve my sight reading when I'm in a situation where someone sets music down in front of me and I just have to play it and I don't have any time to really prepare or time to like practice beforehand. And that comes down to this little chart I'm going to make for you. So I'm going to draw here really quickly a little line, and I'm going to label the bottom of this. This is like the song as you're going along. And then over here is kind of like how hard it is at any given point. Now, a song might have like, start off pretty easy, and then it might have a hard spot, and then it might get a little bit easier, and it might get hard again. And here's where it gets interesting. It's that everyone has some sort of line where below it, it's all comfy. And above that, oh shoot, like there's too many notes, I can't read it all at the same time. This is where it like really gets difficult. Now the problem is that as I was sight reading, I was getting stuck in these spots. Anytime something would get too hard, I would just like shut down and I couldn't just like keep going through it, if that makes sense. So, while if I was able to learn a song in practice and I had plenty of time to practice it, it was okay, right? I could practice it and I could bring those hard parts down and make it a little bit easier. But if I was put on the spot to play something and there was something written that was harder than I could play, I was stuck. Now, what's amazing about Brooke is my wife, is that when she hits these hard spots, she's able to glide through it effortlessly without actually playing all the notes. I think that's kind of the secret. So that's why I'm calling this faking it is making it. Because in reality, when you're sight reading something, and as long as someone's not like over your shoulder, like examining every single note to make sure that you're playing it right, the truth is that you can actually leave notes out, and so then these spots that are hard will actually get a little bit easier. So that way you can kind of maintain the continuity of the song. The thing is what I've learned is that when you slow down, stop, make a mistake, when you kind of go back and repeat something, you're like kind of putting up a little like red flag that like, oops, I screwed up here. Like I was toast here, I couldn't play all the notes, right? But instead, if you had simply just left a few notes out, and I'll show you how to find the unimportant notes to leave out here in a second. If you simply left a few of those notes out, you could have kept playing smoothly and blown everyone's minds. Does that make sense? So faking it really is making it, in the sense that like, if I hit a spot that's hard, I don't have to go back and redo it or like slow down or like get all choppy. I can just leave some pieces out and just keep the flow going, just keep it going easy. And that's gonna help me to actually seem like I'm a way better sight reader than I am. And obviously, in the long run, you'll want to increase this level. Maybe I'll make another video on how to do that. You want to increase that level so then you can sight read harder and harder things. But the truth is, no matter how good you are, there's always going to be some hard piece that's going to have these really hard pieces sections that you'll need to play. And regardless of how good of a sight reader you are, eventually you will run into this problem where there's something harder than you can play. So what can we do to drop notes out? How can we actually practice that? That's what we want to talk about next. So I've pulled up a little piece for you. This is probably, I don't know, somewhere in the intermediate, not somewhere in the late intermediate area maybe. And I'm going to show you how I drop notes out. So what I always look for when I'm sight reading, and I notice that this is what really great sight readers do, including Brooke, is that often they'll make sure to kind of hit whatever happens on the first beat, and everything else that happens after that is gravy. So if you can add it in, great. If not, and you can't add it in, often we don't miss it. So for example, I'm just going to preemptively just cross out some stuff that's not on the first beat. Let's cross out all of that, and let's see if you like really feel like, oh, like I needed those notes, or maybe those spots will actually sound okay. So let's try it this way really quick and see how it sounds. Okay, so maybe it felt a little bit empty with like that big of an intro, right? Maybe it felt a little bit empty, but it didn't feel wrong, did it? But it still felt smooth. It didn't feel like, oh, like Sylvan's like totally struggling to like get this. No, I was playing it. I'm just leaving out a couple of things. So here's what it would have sounded like all together. So it sounds a little more full. Okay, so what else can you do if you wanted to make it a little bit more full, but you still couldn't play it all? Well, sometimes it's helpful just to hit the bottom of these chords, right? Sometimes those chords, there's a lot of notes in there, especially a chord like this. It was really awkward. It was a C7 chord. Really awkward to try and find in the spur of the moment. So let's try this. Let's try just playing just the bottom notes of each of those chords and see if that maybe sounds a little bit more full to us. Right, again, doesn't sound perfect, but I totally got through it, and I think if you weren't looking at the music, you wouldn't have had any idea that I was dropping some notes, right? If you didn't know the arrangement, if you didn't know what was being played, if you didn't, and you know, especially if you didn't even know that these were themes from Madame Butterfly by Puccini, like you'd had no idea that I was dropping things out. So what can you do to practice this? Here's what I would recommend. I would recommend playing first beats only for a second, just to practice it. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna count to 3. This is in a 3-beat pattern, right? So 1, 2, 3, if I can write, right? We've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I'm only playing on beat 1. That's the first thing I would try. Then the second level of that exercise would be, okay, I'm gonna play beat 1, but then I'm gonna do right hand for the rest of the measure. So we're kind of making this like, this kind of 7 shape. 2, 3, 1. Because we want to get you comfortable with being able to just leave stuff out at random. Right? Leaving lots of notes out. And again, I'm usually gonna go for leaving some left-hand notes out. The melody will be the kind of the most obvious if you just kind of stop playing the melody and only play harmony. Depending on the context. If you're accompanying a singer, actually, I'd probably do it the reverse. I'd probably do it the opposite way. So I would make sure to hit all the harmony, and you know, especially if the melody is copying what the singer is doing, leave that out all day, every day. Leave it all out because it's not, the singer's already singing it. So why does it need to be there? It doesn't need to be there. And so that's another great trick. So then the next trick after that would be get a friend, you start playing. And then you start saying, and then you say, have them say, you know, leave out or stop the left hand or something. So then, at that moment, you have to start dropping notes in the left hand, just to kind of like give you a surprise, make it a little bit more challenging, to do. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that trick. I love sight reading. There's more I can do. So, well, yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed that trick, and really do those exercises. They'll be really helpful to kind of break that mold of always feeling you have to like play every note. Instead, feel a little more flexible, like you can leave some notes out and still, you know, focus on the continuity of the piece that you're playing. So I hope that was helpful. I've got lots more sight reading tips like this, so if you'd like to get more, I'm going to be releasing more videos just like this. So make sure to hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you the next time.